How did Louis Pasteur discover the process of pasteurization? What are some interesting facts about his life and work? And how did he change the world with this discovery? Let's find out in today's episode. Louis Pasteur was born on December 27, 1822 in Dole, France. He was an only child whose father was a tanner and his mother was a peasant's daughter. His father wanted his son to follow in his footsteps and become a tanner. But Pasteur had other plans. He wanted to become a scientist. When he was 16 years old, he went to Paris to study at the prestigious École Normale Supérieure. There, he studied chemistry and physics and graduated with honors. Then he became a professor of chemistry at the University of Strasbourg. But Pasteur's heart was not in teaching. He wanted to do research, so he resigned from his position and moved to Paris. There, he met a man who would change his life, the wealthy industrialist and winemaker Jean-Paulin Maïtimo. Matteo had a problem. The wine he produced was turning sour and he needed someone to investigate why. Pasteur took up the challenge and soon discovered the cause of the spoilage. It was a microorganism that was converting sugar into acid, which caused the wine to go bad. At first, Pasteur tried to eliminate the microorganism by boiling the wine. But then he realized that he could kill the organism and still keep the wine drinkable if he heated it to a lower temperature for a longer time. This process became known as pasteurization, and it is still used today to preserve food and beverages without killing the beneficial microorganisms that make them nutritious and tasty. Pasteur published his findings on pasteurization in 1864. And it was a sensation. Scientists and the public alike were amazed that such a simple process could prevent spoilage and extend the shelf life of food. Pasteur was hailed as one of the greatest scientists of his generation. But Pasteur's work on pasteurization was just the beginning. He went on to make many other discoveries that changed the world forever. In 1865, he developed the first vaccine for anthrax, a deadly disease that affects cattle. Then in 1881, he developed a vaccine for rabies, a disease that is almost always fatal once symptoms appear. These vaccines saved countless lives and made Pasteur one of the most famous scientists of all time. So, what is the secret of Pasteur's success? What made him one of the greatest scientists of his day? One of the reasons for Pasteur's success was his curiosity. He was always asking questions about how things work. For example, when he was a child, he wondered why milk turned sour. When he was a student, he wondered why certain chemicals glowed in the dark. And when he was a professor, he wondered why wine went bad. These questions led him to some of the most important discoveries in the history of science. Another reason for Pasteur's success was his persistence. He never gave up in the face of adversity. For example, when he was working on his anthrax vaccine, he faced many setbacks. The vaccine didn't work at first, and then he got anthrax himself. But he didn't give up. He kept working until he developed a vaccine that worked. This persistence paid off big time. His anthrax vaccine saved countless lives and won him international acclaim. A third reason for Pasteur's success was his collaboration with others. He knew that he couldn't do everything himself, so he worked with other scientists to tackle big problems. For example, when he was working on his rabies vaccine, he collaborated with a virologist named Théophile Roussel. Together, they developed a vaccine that worked. This collaboration led to one of the greatest scientific achievements of the 19th century. Finally, another reason for Pasteur's success was his communication skills. He could explain his ideas clearly and persuasively, which helped him to get funding for his research and to win over skeptics. For example, when he was working on his wine spoilage problem, he needed funding to set up his experiments. He went to the wealthy industrialist Jean-Paulin Maïtimo and convinced him to bankroll his research. Without Maïtimo's funding, Pasteur would not have been able to make his groundbreaking discovery of pasteurization. Although he died in 1895, Pasteur's legacy lives on today. Pasteurization is still used to preserve food and beverages around the world. Vaccines are now routine for many people, especially children. And Pasteur's research methods are still taught in science classes today. Many schools and universities are named after him, including the Pasteur Institute in Paris, which is one of the world's leading research centers for medicine and biology. Now let's take a look at some interesting facts about Louis Pasteur. Number 1. He was born in a small village in France. Dole is a small town of about 25,000 people. At the time, it was just a quiet, rural community. No one in town had any idea that the baby who was born there would change the world. Number 2. He was nearly killed by anthrax while working on his vaccine. Anthrax is a deadly disease that can kill humans and animals. While working on a vaccine, Pasteur got infected, and it nearly killed him. But he recovered and went on to develop the first vaccine for anthrax. Number 3. He was the first person to develop a vaccine for rabies. Rabies is a deadly disease of the nervous system that is almost always fatal once symptoms appear. But Pasteur developed a vaccine that worked and saved countless lives. Number 4. He received many honors and awards during his lifetime. Pasteur was one of the most celebrated scientists of his day. He received many honors and awards, including the Légion d'honneur, the highest order of merit in France. He was also awarded the Copley Medal, the Royal Medal, and the Albert Lasker Award. In 1995, Time magazine named him one of the 100 most important people of the 20th century. Let's wrap up today's episode. Louis Pasteur was one of the greatest scientists of his day. He made many discoveries that changed the world forever. He discovered the process of pasteurization, which is still used to preserve food and beverages around the world. He developed the first vaccines for anthrax and rabies, and he helped to lay the foundation for modern microbiology. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and leave a comment below. We'd love to hear what you think. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.